Welcome back to the Shredding for Gold podcast. We are on episode 5 of the podcast, and happy to have you here listening, and, welcome to the Shredding for Gold podcast. I am your host and star athlete, Emily Trepanier, and so happy to have you all here. Can't believe it is already episode 5 of the Shredding for Gold podcast, and we just celebrated our first month anniversary with the podcast being live on the airwaves. So very exciting times, and honestly it has been amazing thus far, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for this podcast and the sport of para snowboarding as well. There's lots of excitement in the air, and lots of things are coming down for both of these things. So super happy to have you all here and to be listening to episode 5 of our podcast. Before we get started, I just want to say a few shouts out. Big shout out to my podcasting producer, Maxwell Ivy Jr. So happy that I found you and that we were able to connect and that we're working on this super cool project, and you're helping me and I'm helping you. It's super, super awesome, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for both of us. I think it's very exciting, and I think big things are going to be happening for both of us. So super excited to be on this adventure with you and to be helping you and for you to be helping me. Another shout out to those great folks at Blueberry who are doing an amazing job with technical and financial support to keep this podcast and the WI Excuse Network alive and on the airwaves. You guys are awesome. I hope to be able to meet you someday and thank you all in person and give you hugs if you like hugs. But definitely just thanking you guys in person, because if it weren't for you guys, this podcast would not be on the air. So big thank you guys. And if you want to listen to our podcast, check it out at www.wyexcuse.com/shredding-for-gold. And just a quick little note, because someone actually asked me this week, shredding actually has 2 D's in it, not just one. There's 2 D's in it, so someone was having a hard time finding the podcast on Apple Podcasts, so they were asking me how I spelled the podcast name, and I was like, and I was spelling it to them, and they're like, oh, I didn't even realize that shredding had 2 D's. I'm like, yep, this podcast title has 2 D's in it. So that's just a quick little note. So if you have someone who's been trying to find the podcast and they've been unsuccessful, that might be why. Also a note, if you're having a hard time finding the podcast for whatever reason, be sure to let myself know or Maxwell know, and we'll do our best to troubleshoot with you and figure it out. Always, you can, if you have my contact information, you can obviously reach out, but if you don't, we will always share that information in our podcast description link for each episode, so feel free to use that information to get a hold of us. And also, please, so we know how we're doing, rate our podcast and leave us a review. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know what's going well and what we should be changing, if then we need to change anything. And then if you have any suggestions for future episodes, we'd always love to hear that. I have a bunch of ideas for future episodes, but I'm always open to ideas, and if you have someone who you think that I should super get a hold of and interview, definitely let me know, because I really want to help this podcast grow and help the WI Excuse Network grow and help the sport of para-snowboarding grow, so everyone is able to achieve their goals. So episode 5. Wow, I still can't believe we're on episode 5. It's crazy, but it's super exciting. So for episode 5, it's gonna look a little different, as you can probably already tell. But this weekend it's Thanksgiving weekend, and don't have anyone set up for interviewing this weekend. So, I know I needed to do an episode just to get an episode out there so that we can put it on the airwaves and keep our podcast alive. So I thought I would share a few things of why I am thankful for all of my coaches on my team. As I said, it is Thanksgiving in Canada this weekend, and honestly, I have so much to be thankful for. So I wanted to share a few highlights. But before I share a few highlights that really stick out and why I'm super thankful, I'm gonna just list off who all of my coaches are, who have worked with me and are currently working with me. I know you've met some already, and you'll meet the rest of them as this podcast continues to grow. But I just want to give a huge shout out first to my coaches. So in Ontario, my hill coaches were Andrew Clayton, John Killow, Ethan Rigby, Isaac Rigby, and Noah Tremblay. Those were my hill coaches. And my gym coaches were Paul Tavares and Steve McRae. And I also did DDPY, which is a form of yoga for athletes. And my coach for that was Sarah Fortune. And then I also did I also did a cross-training sport back in Ontario, and that was stand-up paddleboarding. And so the coach that's back in Ontario who helped out with stand-up paddleboarding was Andrew Brewer. And so my coaches in British Columbia, so I have, at the gym, I have Jason Kyle and Scott McGinley. I hope I'm saying that name right. Sorry if I'm not. And then my stand-up paddleboarding / yoga coach is Drew Climie. Is it Drew Climie or Climie? I think it's Climie, actually. I'm sorry again if I'm saying your guys' names wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but and then so I said my gym coaches and my stand-up paddleboarding coaches, and then I just want to also give a big shout out to Bowler Mountain, which is back in London, Ontario, and all the folks there. That was my home hill back in Ontario for quite a few years, and where I did a lot of my training. And then here in British Columbia, my home hill has been between Grouse Mountain and Mount Seymour. So I just wanted to say those. I just wanted to list all those out and mention all of them because they've been absolutely amazing. Who I've worked with thus far and who I'm working with currently. in their own ways, they've been absolutely amazing coaches, and I'm so happy to have them a part of Team Starfish. And even though some of them aren't actively working with me right now, they're always excited to hear updates and help out whenever they possibly can. So one of the reasons that got me thinking of doing this episode is a few weeks back, here in Canada, it was actually National Coaches Week, and that's a week that athletes like me can thank and highlight the coaches that we've worked with or are currently working with. So it's a full week where athletes get to thank all the coaches and the officials. Personally, for myself, I love that they do that week here in Canada. Absolutely love it. I think that's amazing. But I thank my coaches quite frequently, and ask any of them and they'll say that as well. I frequently thank them, or say that I would mention to them that I'm super thankful to have them a part of my team. And also, if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you'll see that I am constantly thanking them for doing what they have been doing. But I mean, I really honestly do love the fact that they have a week specifically to highlight coaches out there in Canada, because coaching is it's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of time to coach an athlete. But from talking with all of the coaches and talking with fellow athletes and their coaches, and then just from my own experiences, it's coaching is super rewarding, and it's super rewarding, and it's super exciting to see your athletes complete their goals or work towards their goals, and seeing how they progress as you continue training with them. So I really appreciate that they have that National Coaches Week every third week of September. But again, and I'm sure many of my fellow athletes do this as well. I constantly telling my coaches that I'm super thankful and grateful for them. So one of the things that stands out in all of my coaches is the dedication that they have given to help me as I continue to work towards my Paralympic goals. Some of them have families of their own, so when they're coaching me, they go away from their families for periods of time so that they can help me and coach me and help me with training or racing or whatever it is that they're helping me with. So they're away from their families, so just having them want to be super dedicated and helping me even though they have families of their own at home, that's super amazing, and that shows a lot of dedication and commitment on their part. So super thankful for that. Another thing that I'm super thankful as well is how all of my coaches have been super amazing at working with me to make sure if something needs to be adapted, or if something if I need to learn something, they constantly are they're super committed at making sure that I have a good understanding of what they're trying to teach me, but I also that I stay safe as well. So one thing that like really stands out for me would be like any time that I've met a new coach, we always have a sit down before I start training with them, and we're so we can like chat and start to like get used to each other and figure out what works and the like different ways to help me train and like learn about my goals. That's a huge thing for every athlete, but especially for an athlete with various abilities. It's super important to get to know your athlete, especially right from the very beginning, because you want to know like the ways to best like help your athlete succeed and how to best like help your athlete train. So, and every athlete with varying abilities is going to be different. So it's that initial sitting down with your athlete or sitting down with your coach when you first meet them. That is extremely important. And all of my coaches, both in Ontario and British Columbia, they've always done that, and I've never had to ask for that. It's just something that they've all said was super important for them as well. So that's a huge thing, especially, as I said, for an athlete themselves, but also for an athlete with varying abilities. Just getting to know your athlete and getting to know your coach. That's super important. So I'm super thankful that my coaches have done that. Another thing I am super thankful is the knowledge that I've gained from all of my coaches, be it on the hill, be it at the gym, be it on the ocean or the waters. And just like the fact that even though we might not necessarily be training at that specific time, the amount of research that my coaches have done to help with like various things that I've needed to work on or things that I've wanted to work on, and then just coming back to me and like chatting with me about what they've found or what they would think we should try, and then just having that like discussion with them. It's super amazing it makes me smile knowing, and makes me super thankful seeing how, like, I guess how dedicated, it's just back to that dedication piece, right? How dedicated they are and how much research goes into coaching an athlete. That, because like every athlete is going to be different, and what one athlete might need is going to be different than what another athlete needs, and it's also going to vary on the sport that they're doing, and it'll also vary at like what level the athlete is, what they're going to need for training, and what potential like if any like potential issues arise, say like an injury or whatever. It's super important for your coaches to have the knowledge to like help you through whatever it is they need to help you with. So I'm super thankful that all of my coaches that I have worked with and are currently working with, they've been super knowledgeable, and if they don't know something, they will figure, like, we will have discussions, and we will all research and like brainstorm ways to help me, and different ways to train and stuff, because training an athlete is not a one size fits all thing. Sure, there's like guidelines that coaches have to follow and that athletes have to follow, but it really varies depending on like the sport that you're in. So me being in snowboarding, it's gonna be totally different than, say, someone who's like a hockey player. Obviously there'll be some, like a few similarities, but the sport itself, like both of those sports itself, they're two totally different sports. So very super thankful for the knowledge that my coaches bring, and like the research that they have done between like training sessions and between training sessions and like just overall in general. I'm super thankful that they come with lots of knowledge, and that we can do research and brainstorm together to figure things out. Another thing I'm super thankful for is the fact that there's always open communication between myself and all of my coaches. That's a really important thing. That's a really important thing to have that open communication piece between coaches and athletes, because you need to have that, and if that doesn't happen, it's not going to be a very good and strong relationship. So I'm super thankful that we have that open communication, and all of my coaches have been super good about communicating with me and keeping me updated, and I'm super good about like communicating with them as well, and just like keeping them updated. I think that's important for any sort of relationship, but also like I think it's super important for like a athlete-coach relationship, especially if you're working with multiple coaches. I think it's super important to have that open communication so that everyone knows what's going on and everyone's on the same page. For my first few years that we were training, I was trying to find different ways of like making sure I was able to like communicate with all of my coaches. And then over a few years ago, we started using group chats and through WhatsApp, and that's been super helpful because like now so we have off-hill training group and an on-hill training group, and so everyone knows what's happening, and if there's ever any like questions or anything, it's easy enough to just like go into that group and put out a question or whatever. Or if like one trainer needs to get a hold of another trainer, then they can easily use that group chat, or they can just like they know how to like get a hold of each other. And I think that open communication is super important. I definitely think that's been super cool. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I can actually like streamline it so like everyone's in the same chat window. But yeah, that's kind of a goal for the hopefully nearest future. But yeah, that open communication piece, I've been very lucky with all of my coaches. It's been super awesome, and it's super awesome that we have that piece in place. That's definitely very important. So those are just a few of the things that they're like broad topics, or I guess broad things that I'm super thankful of. I think what I'm going to do, I think once we meet more of the team on this podcast, I'm going to do another episode that's similar to this one, where I go into a bit more like specific things that I'm thankful for each of my coaches, because I've done like broad things that I'm thankful for my coaches, but there's a lot of like specific things that I'm thankful for that each of my coaches have brought or are currently doing that just makes me appreciate them just a little bit more. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'll do that once we meet the rest of the team of Team Starfish. So look for that episode later on in the podcast. I don't know exactly what episode that's going to be, but it'll come. So just look for it. Before I wrap things up, just wanted to say that it has been another week busy at the gym, getting ready for winter. We are in the thick of preseason training currently. The off-field training team at the gym has been working me super hard through preseason training to get me ready for the upcoming winter race season and training season on the snow. So it's been very exciting. It's the first full year training with the team out here in British Columbia at Train Like an Athlete. So big shout out to them. Our 1-year anniversary is actually coming up in a few weeks. That's the 1 year that we've been working together with the two of my strength gym training coaches at Train Like an Athlete. So that's coming up on October 19th. Can't believe it's already going to be a year working with both Coach Jason and Coach Scotty. So we will definitely put that link up for that gym. But yeah, preseason has been going well. Lots of gym training. Yoga's going well. Stand-up paddleboarding went well this summer. That's winded down for the season. And so we're getting into yoga now. And then just like getting me ready for the upcoming winter race season has been the goal. I'll be able to get registered this week for the race team here in Vancouver, so that's very exciting. I had an exciting short phone chat last night with one of the heads of the team, so that was super fun. They're super excited to finally have me join them on snow this year. Last year I was supposed to be starting with them, but then all the restrictions hit, and with everything that was going on with the pandemic, they ended up not running the program. So I did still end up getting out on snow, but it definitely wasn't a typical training year. There were no race camps, there were no races, and I think I only got out once a week, and that was only for a good chunk of winter, and it was a very odd year last year. So full steam ahead this year. We just got word that all of the programs are running this year. It's definitely still going to look a little differently, just to keep everyone safe and healthy on the hill. But very excited. I already signed up for one race camp. I also found out last night sounds like there's going to be a local race camp, so that's pretty cool. That'll be super easy to get to. Just should be getting more information as the season approaches and it gets closer. So, and then also found out some other exciting news, but I'm not going to share that right now because it's very much still in the works and being worked on. So, but I will tell you, it's going to be a very exciting winter season. I'm feeling very optimistic. I'm feeling very excited to get back to some more normalcy, and just meeting everyone on the race team this year. Super excited. And we'll definitely keep you guys, you listeners, updated on things that are happening as I get more information and more things finalized. But yeah, it's very exciting, and I'm very thankful, especially this weekend being at Thanksgiving, for everything that has helped me thus far on my journey, and everything that is continuing to help me. And also super thankful for everyone who has supported me and who is on my training team, and all my family and friends that have supported me as well as I continue to work towards my Paralympic goals. So folks, that's it for this week's episode. Again, it's a little bit different than what you are used to hearing, but I hope you enjoyed the episode, and hopefully you didn't mind me rambling on. So next week, join us again for another episode of Shredding for Gold, but for now, we're going to sign off and say adventure on, and be sure to leave that rate and review so we know what we're doing well and what we need to change, if anything. So guys, take care, and we will talk to you again soon. Later!